It's day 50 in Alaska. 5-0, let's go. I'm so excited. It's a little rainy, but who cares? Let's go! Day 50 is done, Alaska is done, and the whole trip is done. And I don't really even know what it means. I'm gonna have to reflect on it later. So I'll just talk about how today went. So I got kind of a bit of a late start, but no big deal. I had all day to go. And then it was raining at the start, and it rained until about 25 or 30 miles in. And then it dried up until I turned around, until I got basically probably to about with 25 or 30 miles to go. It was raining in that same spot again. So overall it rained about half the day. And this morning when I headed out, I had the butterflies. So, which is weird. Like, why would you be nervous about a ride? You've been doing this for the last 7 weeks, right? But that just shows you that it meant something. And yeah, then I got really excited, and then so I was just amped up, ready to go. And then I went downstairs, and I forgot yesterday to get the computer turned on and find a GPS signal, because once you go a long distance between where you were and where you are now, and you're trying to find the GPS, it takes a while. So I was all excited, but then I was just standing there in the rain and kind of lost my momentum a little bit. But yeah, I was definitely excited to get going and to get out of town here, and it's just beautiful out there. The clouds and rain and stuff, it's kind of good and bad. Sometimes it's cool because you get those low clouds and it makes the mountains look bigger, but sometimes it hides some of the scenery, so it's kind of a win and a lose. But yeah, I was really excited to start, and then reality kicks in. You have a long ride to do, but then when I hit 50 miles and the turnaround point, I got excited again. I started just riding harder and faster. I was like, okay, there's no tomorrow. I'll just ride hard from here on out. And I did ride hard, but it it didn't amount to much, because I still just don't have any kind of speed in me anymore. Not that I ever did, but like even compared to before. But yeah, it felt really good to get going there. And then also, for a large portion of that, I had to pee, so like that was making me ride faster too. So from about mile 50 to 75, I was setting a pretty good pace, feeling good about myself. And then I finally found a bathroom. And one of the hardest parts about this trip, coincidentally, is finding places to pee along the way. Like knowing where you can pee, because when I'm riding around home, I always know like where the pee spots are. But anyway, then it hit the rain, and I guess reality kind of kicked in again. Like, you still have this ride to do. But yeah, my hands were dried out, so that was good. And maybe with about 20 miles to go or so, I just started thinking about everything. And I was riding my bike and like starting to cry, and I was like, you just get yourself together, because you still have work to do, and this isn't the time. You have to do that later. So kind of got my stuff together and finished the ride out. The route, I don't know if I picked the best route, but it's on the old highway, but it was still pretty trafficy. And there's one of these bike paths to the side of the road, but it's one of those ones that's basically a glorified sidewalk. It's a paved sidewalk basically, and I don't like those, so I wasn't riding on that. And then finally, I saw the hotel, and really, it's kind of a relief that everything is done. And so I had my key card in my pocket, and I was able to scan the key card at the door that gets you into the hotel, and that worked just fine. And I get up here to my room, and the key doesn't work. Scan it, get a red beeping light, and it's like, dang, man. All I wanted to do was take my wet clothes off, take a whiz, and be done, but no. So, I guess an interesting way to finish the whole thing off. And so, yeah, I came back in, took a bath. That's like my wintertime rituals. After a long ride, I like to take a nice warm bath, and you feel like you earned it. So I feel like I double earned it for this one because, it's been 7 weeks of riding, as hard as I could. You can't go all out every day, but I think I did a pretty good job of going a pace that I could go every day and not getting, I mentioned a lot in the videos, like, oh, I hate going slow and all this, but trying not to let it get me down too much. And man, along the way, I've had a lot of good days. I haven't really had that many bad days, and I just feel lucky with the way everything turned out. I feel like the weather was mostly in my favor because when I started out in like California, Nevada, states like that, it wasn't really that hot yet. And as I moved south, it wasn't really that hot in the south either. And I never ran into any major thunderstorms in the Midwest. Like I only had maybe 2 or 3 days of bad rain. I got rain down here and there, but only a few days where it was raining like most of the day. Only 2 days I can remember where it rained pretty much all day. And as far as wind goes, I had a really bad windy day on day number 2 in California. But other than that, I never really had like a really, really bad wind day. And as I got to the Northeast, I know there was flooding in Vermont, and I rode that day and it rained all day in New Hampshire, but I was able to get it done. And as I got to the Midwest, like the northern portion of the Midwest there was smoke from the wildfires in Canada, but I only had really one day where I could really notice it. Otherwise, it kind of blew out. And then as I got back to the West, there were no wildfires to block my progress. And it was hot, and it's supposed to be hot in South Dakota, it's supposed to be hot in Wyoming, but was starting early and stuff, it never felt too bad. And here in Alaska, it rained, but and it was cold, but it was doable, and I had all my winter clothes on. So, and it didn't rain all day, it only rained half the day. So, and you know what, if the sun was out, there might have been a lot of bugs, so I might have wished for rain at that point. So really, overall, there's nothing really to complain about. Nothing to complain about at all. I got lucky with the weather. I got lucky with no injuries, no real saddle sores. I think there was a day after West Virginia where things were starting to get red on me and hurt. I remember one day after I took a shower, like I was drying off, and it really, really hurt. But I feel like that was just my taint rebuilding itself. And from that point on, I never had any issues. I thought that was my number one. I think it was my number one concern, that I was going to get a saddle sore that would not really have time to heal. And it would be like a battle of wills to see if I could push through something like that. But that never really came to be. Never had any knee pain or back pain. I had hand pain, but can deal with it, and I have the aero bars, so if it gets really bad, just get into aero bars. And never got sick. Everything went as well as you could really hope for, and I'm really, really thankful for that. So, you know, anything else that goes bad, like tomorrow if my flight gets canceled or something, who cares, right? Or if my car breaks down. That's another thing, my car. Nothing, in Ohio, someone tried to break into my car, but other than that, no car issues, no flat tires, no, my engine didn't explode or anything. In my car, it only had like 55,000 miles on it at the time, so I put myself in a good position for that, but you never know. I mean, it's a car, things can go wrong, and a little bit of construction here and there, but that wasn't really too bad either. Nothing, like my bike rack didn't break on me. I didn't have any bike issues at all. This is like miraculous. I had one flat tire for the whole thing. I'm sure that I had tubeless sealed a few things, probably more than likely, but I only had one that stopped me, and that was kind of early on in the trip. So, man, when I'm at home, I get flats a lot, because I ride in the shoulder there, and there's all kinds of garbage in the shoulder, and eventually you run over something that's too big to seal up, and how do you go 5,000 miles for one flat? I would never do that at home. So that's pretty awesome. And oh man, everything was just great. I just feel really good right now. I may not seem happy. I kind of feel like now finally that I feel tired. I never really felt tired. I just felt like my legs didn't have anything in them. You know what I mean? It didn't hurt. But it was just like, you're flipping a switch and nothing's happening. You know what I mean? But I never felt like I was sore all the time or that it was hard to do. I never once seriously considered quitting. And that's something I thought I would run up against because I wasn't sure that I could do this. I really had pretty low expectations coming in. I was kind of scared to even say that I was going to try to do this because I felt like there's a pretty high chance it wasn't going to happen. And I see it as a risk, that I took a risk to risk my own ego, honestly, to if I tried and it didn't turn out, to feel like a loser. I risked, a lot of money and a lot of time that maybe could have been spent doing something else. But I watch a lot of UFC, and you'll hear people say like, oh, they sacrifice so many things, to be a fighter and do that. But I never felt like it was ever a sacrifice. It was more of a conscious decision that I'm going to put other things aside on the back burner to do the thing that I want to do most. And I don't see that as a sacrifice. I see that as just a reality of, if you want to do things, that's what you need to do. And I planned for this for 2 years. Only wanted it to be one. I thought I was going to do it last year, but that didn't work out. I thought I was going to do it later this year, starting in September, but other things came up. So I had to make a decision kind of quick. Like, do you really want to do this? Do you want to push it back, and even go in reverse to make it happen? And I did. I'm glad I did. And I didn't use anything as an excuse. Like, no, I don't have time to fix the plan. Or no, I want to focus on whatever else is going on. No, I knew what I wanted to do, and I was able to do it, and that's a wonderful thing. And I wish I had more time to hang out here in Alaska, but I have to be home on the 1st, so I'm going to fly back to Seattle tomorrow morning, early in the morning, and get there. My car is still there, and I have 2 days to drive it back home, and it's a 25-hour drive. So I'll be spending most of the next 2 days driving. So there's not a whole lot of time to sort of rest and put my figurative hair down, but there will be a lot of time to think about it, I suppose. And it's so, oh man, it's a great feeling, really. It's just a great feeling. It's that, like I said it before, that you can say this is a 50-day project, but I worked on it for 2 years. But even then, I've been riding my bike semi-seriously for 20 years. So it's like a 20-year progress to get here. And it all came down to this, and it worked out somehow by the luck of the universe or the grace of God or whatever. Who knows? But that's about it for now. I might make another video on the drive home, but the trip is done. I'm not the only person who's ever done this, but I'm one of a handful of people, and I think I'm the only one who's done it self-supported. I might be wrong. So that's a pretty cool thing. So that's it, guys. See you on the next video, whenever that might be.